It's Hebrews of Truth coming back to you. First of all, I want to say all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahusha, Hamashiach, Selah. We got an issue that a lot of the elect go through. It seems like low-hanging fruit. Is really foolish to me, but so many people use it that needed to be addressed. So many brothers say, man, the white man wrote the Bible for y'all, man. You know, they gave y'all that for slavery, man. You know, today we're going to address the ridiculous assertion that the so-called white man wrote the Bible. Okay, we're going to put that to rest. With that being said, let's get started. Number 1, Exodus 4, 6, and 7. We're going to start at Exodus 4 and 4 to just highlight on something else that Moshe had done under the Most High's commission. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, put forth thine hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and it became a rod in his hand. 5. That they may believe that Yahweh, your Elohim of the fathers, of their fathers, and the Elohim of Abram, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov, hath appeared unto thee. 6. And Yahweh said furthermore unto him, put now thine hand into thy bosom. And he put his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, behold, his hand was leprous and white as snow. 7. And he said, put thine hand into thy bosom again. And he put his hand into his bosom again, and plucked it out of his bosom, and behold, it was turned again as his other flesh. Look, this stuff is not going to stand out on somebody white. It's just not. It's not going to have the same significance if somebody white put their hand into their bosom and it was a little more white. Okay, or perhaps even the same. That's 1. Moving on. 2. The Hebrew language reads from right to left. Okay, the English language is a strange language. If you've studied any type of other language after being proficient with English, you find it most difficult because none of the stuff lines up. It's the same problem with people who come from other religions or other languages and attempt to speak English. It's very hard to learn because like in the Romantic languages that all come from Hebrew, Italian, Spanish, Latin, they all come from Hebrew. So there are significant similarities that continue to go through and flow through as you go from one to the other. Not so with English. And we're going to look at Ezekiel 3, 4, and 5. Ezekiel 3, 4, and 5. And Yahweh said further, no, it's the wrong one, excuse me. It's Salakia. Ezekiel 3 and 4. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get thee unto the house of Yasharal, or Israel, and speak with my words unto them. Ezekiel 3:5. For thou art not sent to a people of a strange speech and of an hard language, but unto the house of Israel. Okay, we were not a people of strange speech and hard language. Okay, so that's right off the top. Prophecy stacking up before we even knew the significance and relevance of all of this. Now we're going to go to Deuteronomy 28:49. Yahweh shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth, a nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. Okay. This is a strange language. They would never write a book that reads the opposite of everything that they write. Doesn't make sense. 3. Job 30:30. My skin is black upon me, and my bones are burnt with heat. My skin, see, there's a few imposters and infidel that like to say, well, black meant that they were sad. That's why you got to go to places like Job where they specifically mention skin. Okay, now, many of you know if you've been around anybody that's a Negro, because it's not, from what I've understood, I've never been to Africa, to Kemet, but from the Hamites that I've engaged with, calling someone black is not a normal occurrence. Maybe because there's mad people over there, dark. But either way, amongst Negroes, calling somebody black is quite normal. Okay, so if I'm out in the sun and my bones are burnt with heat, then I would say I am getting black, or they would say you're getting black. So that's why Job 30:30, my skin is black upon me and my bones are burnt with heat, is apropos. Okay, number 4, Jeremiah 14:2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground, and the cry of Jerusalem is gone up. Now, I will concede, Jeremiah 14:2 could very likely mean sadness, because it's black unto the ground, meaning you could be black with despairing on the ground. It could very well likely also mean the color of the ground. So we're going to leave that one up. I got extras in the 100 either way. So, but we're going to let you know that just so you can have that in your repertoire. Okay. Lamentations 5:10. Number 5. We're on the 5th proof of the 100 proofs that whites did not write the Bible. Number 5, Lamentations 5:10. See, now we're right back to this for those who want to prattle about Jeremiah. Our skin was black like an oven because of the terrible famine. It's, again, a normal term. We can go get some Negroes that don't know the Bible, never read the Bible, take us all to the swimming pool. Let's hang out all day. I'll bet you any amount of money that somebody is going to tell somebody that they're getting black. Like an oven. Okay. Now, number 6. They called the lion the king of the jungle. If these are supposed to be the people who wrote a book where the phrase Lion of the tribe of Judah is frequently used, then you would think that they would know that lions are not in the jungle. When you watch the Jungle Book, it's a tiger. The only people who didn't know that were the people who weren't there, which is also solid proof that everybody coming out of Africa is a myth. Because if you were there, you would have known that this is where the lions are at. Okay? Number 7. Whites, or so-called whites, prefer rare meat. Now, there's exception to every rule. You can find somebody white that's like, no, I want mine well done. But if we picked 100 people, odds are over 80% of them would prefer their steak rare or medium rare. Okay? Now, Leviticus 17:14. For it is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for life thereof. Therefore, I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no manner of flesh, for the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whosoever eateth it shall be cut off. I tell people all the time, there's rare, there's medium rare, there's done, there's well done, and then there's Negro. Okay? Everybody knows that. There is no way that these people wrote a book condemning the way that they love their meat. Does it make sense? Number 8. Daniel 7:9. I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit, whose garment was white as snow, and the hair of his head like the pure wool. His throne was like the fiery flame, and his wheels as burning fire. You people know that these people ain't put the Ancient of Days, Yahweh himself, with pure wool hair. No way. Moving on. Number 9. So-called whites and those brainwashed by said indoctrination love to say, well, how do we know it was? It's a spirit. It gives no explanation. Concrete proof that they've never even read it to know the difference. It does give descriptions more than once. Revelation 14. 1:14, Revelation. His head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Now, you notice when it mentions head and hairs, because I've had a few infidels try to assert that that meant that his skin somehow on his face was white. But no, see, because when we were back with Job and back with Lamentations, they mentioned skin. The only time the Bible mentions skin white is leprosy. Okay, so we know that he's talking about his hair. His hair. It's white, but it looks like white wool. That's clearly what it's saying. Okay, Revelation 1:15. And his feet like unto fine brass, as if they burnt in a furnace, and his voice as the sound of many waters. So, what we have here is a description, people. Again, dispelling common misunderstanding. Okay, number 10. Song of Solomon 5:11. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. His locks are bushy and black as a raven, man. Come on. You think they wrote this? See, they love to try to assert when I am black but beautiful. I am dark but comely, or however it's worded. I'm paraphrasing. They love to say, well, that wasn't his wife. This is him. This is him. His head is as the most fine gold. His locks are bushy and black as a raven. Okay. 11. Ezekiel 44:20. I like to address this verse because this is a verse I use on some of the brothers. I love the camps. Okay. But we got one camp, or a lot of the camps, gravely misunderstood on cannabis. To assert that a perfect Elohim would allow you something as dangerous as alcohol in moderation, mind you, because drunkenness is a sin, but not allow you something relatively harmless in moderation is an affront to my Creator. But another issue is we have these brothers who, because of a Corinthian or Timothy verse, I don't know which one exactly, are speaking as if brothers who have locks are effeminate, and that's ridiculous. Okay, that is ridiculous. I'm still trying to figure out which one of them was going to walk up and tell Samson that. Okay, and if they make mention of the Nazarite vow, well, then you should make mention of that before you go railing effeminate accusations against every brother with locks. Okay, but we're going to make it even further, understanding that it's not just for the Nazarene vow in this right here. And we're going to show again that these people didn't write this book. Okay. Ezekiel 44:20. Neither shall they shave their heads, nor suffer their locks to grow long. They shall poll their heads. Okay. So Why would the Bible mention that a priest must keep their locks shorter if nobody could wear locks? If the very thought of wearing locks was effeminate. But also, and to the point of this, we're not going to go into that. I'm going to deal with that another time. But to the 100 proofs that whites did not write the Bible, man, little goldy trash on the side of those imposters' head, we're not worried about that. Okay, growing long and all the hole in it. No, it ain't talking about them. It's talking about us who, if I was a priest, this would be unacceptable. Too long, okay? It's that simple. Even polled, and this is a form of polling. No, okay? So we know that now. Moving on. 12. Exodus 1:8. Now there arose up a new king over Egypt, Mizraim, which knew not Joseph. Exodus 1:9. And he said unto his people, behold, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Exodus 1:10. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply, and it come to pass that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. Exodus 1:12. But the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew. And they were grieved because of the children of Yasharal, or Israel. Y'all know good and well that ain't nobody but Negroes and Nativo overpopulating people. Even to this day, we have the most children. Okay, we have the highest birth rates. Before they initiated all of this trickery in order to keep us from multiplying at the rate that we were, splitting up all the marriages, killing all kind of trickery. I'm addressing in other issues in this. Okay, but I'm going to show you that they are employing the same tactics that they did in Egypt in order to keep us from overpopulating them. If any of y'all got grandparents or people that you can think of, or some of you are older, then you will know for a fact that at one time, our homes were regularly having 10 or more children, which means that if they so-called consensus has deemed that we have 40 million people and we take 20 million couples and add 10 children, that's 200 million people. They had to put a stop to that, or we would have overran them a long time ago. Where did that idea come from? Exodus 1:16. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. They're still doing it. Okay, you know who's more likely to get shot by the cops. You know who they're gunning for. All right, it's not changed. That's why, yes, they're showing brothers on there with white girls on television, but every sister, 9 out of 10, they're showing with a white guy, showing you, come with us. You're welcome. He can't protect you. We'll lock him up. We'll shoot him. We'll beat him. We'll charge him with child support. We'll tax him on the bill. We will get him out of here. Come with us, and thou will have safety. It's no different, okay? It's the same people. It's the same stuff going on. That's why he said, I will return you to Egypt. Return. For those infidels trying to say, well, that's where they were at. Return, okay? Stop. Now, moving on. 13, David, who y'all know as David, some of y'all, had 700 wives and concubines. 700? Does that sound like anybody but a Negro to you? You could say Moab and Ammon, China and Japan, but they come from Hebrew, whether they like it or not. Their father is Lot. That's why they multiply so greatly, because they got the same Hebrew blood, no matter how much they try to deny it. And Nativo, the same way. It's a DNA amongst Hebrew. That's why Egypt were Hamites And they said they'll overpopulate us. And now we know that Egypt was clearly black. Okay. Now, number 14, Solomon had 1,000 wives. Same point. Just another proof. Okay. These people despise having more than one wife. They have outlawed it. They have empowered the woman against it to now even all the women whose ancestors accepted it think that it's abominable. Even though the Bible clearly says that it's acceptable. So we know that they would have never wrote something like that. Okay, now, United States sued for peace, or was sued for peace. Either way, our Social Security numbers ended up for grabs and some more trickery. You can look into sovereignty and some of the other stuff. I'm not going to go into all that because I stand with the Bible, but I'm aware of it. Okay, I'm aware that they have superseded the common law and Constitution with the civil procedure and contractual extracurricular nonsense. Okay, but just for the sake of a country that has a Statue of Liberty, right? A lady justice, they call it a lady. Okay, why the Bible calls this Lady Babylon? Okay, because these people have empowered the women. They are hyenas. Us Hebrews are natural lions. So there's no way that hyenas, and this is number 15, would write this verse. 1 Corinthians 11:3. But I would have you know that the head of every man is Hamashiach, and the head of every woman is man, and the head of Hamashiach is Elohim. They wouldn't write that at all. You talking about the equality pushers, the guys that got women punching man out on every other commercial, kicking them in their stuff, every other show, every cartoon and show. The guys, I'm sorry, I was wrong. I was overbearing. Every show, you see it. It's clear as day. Every commercial, a guy is saying, oh, I thought that it was this. And she's like, well, actually, it's this and that. What does that mean? It is clearly an assault on manhood. Okay, so no way would they write a verse like that, then come back and be so blatantly adverse to said notion. Okay, now we're moving on to 16. 1 Corinthians 11:4. Every man praying or prophesying, having his head covered, dishonoreth his head. Now, why would the people, every time we see the imposters, they got this little black trash on their head. Being praying, putting their little head into the wall, nonsense they do, or whatever. But y'all don't know that it says not to do that? Now there's verses in there that concern, I think I'm going to mention some of it later, where a priest is supposed to keep his head covered, but not everybody's a priest. You got the whole synagogue with their head covered. Everybody walking in with their head covered. But that's not for man according to the word. And they should have known that. They also, their favorite place, the Catholics, also cover their head. And just manufacture priests like it's candy. Okay? They would not have wrote it. 17. 1 Timothy 2:9. In like manner also that women adorn themselves in modest apparel, with shamefacedness and sobriety, not with broided hair or gold or pearls or costly array. Anybody with common sense knows that this is talking about sisters. Broided hair is synonymous, you can go look it up on Google right now, with braided. It means braided, okay? Gold, pearls, and costly array. That's what y'all make fun of us for. Ain't that what y'all say? Well, you don't go around with your gold chains and you got your... but see, when we show that they constantly was like this way in the Bible, then you want to backtrack. No, stand by it. And for you sisters, don't do that. Okay, now, moving on. 18. Judges 16:13. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me wherewith thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest my 7 locks of my head with a web. Amen. Any of y'all got Negro friends, Hebrew friends, you will see their locks. Some football players, some people, I've had them. Weaveth my locks. Okay, I got, my hair is not done because I'm not worried about being pretty or vain. You got to show brothers not to be effeminate sometimes. Sometimes you got to look rough. I know I look rough. It's for a reason. Okay, you got to show brothers that because we weren't made for beauty. But I'm going to show y'all this much. I always get my hair braided on the side because I never wanted to shave it because I thought that was more of a white boy type thing or white boy brother type thing to shave it on the side and just that. So I just told him to braid mine on the side. Okay, so the side of my hair is a braid. Okay, there's a difference. That's why the Bible mentioned broided in Timothy 2:9 and weavest in Judges 16:13 because this has weaved. This is weaved in. There's a difference between weaving something in and braiding something. Okay, so he told her to weavest my lock because that's what you do with locks. You weave them. Okay, that's common sense. Anybody does hair knows that. It ain't talking about nobody else. There's no way they wrote that. You know, their hero would have been like, if thou comb through my goldish hair, my blonde hair, and make it flow in the wind or some nonsense. But it's not what they would have written. Okay. Now, we're going to move on. 19. Psalms means songs. Psalms are equivalent. Not to say that it's that we're writing it's as high as the holy word, but Psalms are soul music. 20. Proverbs. Hip hop. 21. Ecclesiastes. Blues. 22. Song of Solomon. R&B. Nobody else can claim that. Nobody else in the world can claim that. Regardless of what somebody tries to naysay. We're the closest to it. Because we wrote it. Okay? 23. What gets most blacks thrown off a fear flag? Not blacks, not because like I said, nowadays they call them Ham and Shem black. Okay, so what gets most of Shem? Because we've already seen this. Some of the Hebrews have made memes and showed Hamites eating blood and eating different stuff that, you know, some of them can eat that stuff. But us, when we're on fear factor, as soon as they pull out that goat testicles or some other disgusting stuff, a liver, some crazy stuff, 99% of the time, we're out of there, buddy. You know that. You take us through all those other challenges, we kick butt. But when you come time to eat some disgusting, ridiculous nonsense, we suffer the most. Why is that? Okay, Leviticus 11:20. All fowls that creep upon all four shall be an abomination unto you. Yet these may ye eat, 21, yet these may ye eat of every flying, creeping thing that goeth upon all four, which have legs above their feet, to leap withal upon the earth. So basically chickens, turkeys, stuff like that, but stuff crawling on all four, no fowls or anything like that that does that. Okay, 22. Even these of them ye may eat, the locust after his kind, and the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after its kind, and the grasshopper after its kind. Now, I'm not eating none of that. Okay, it's been a bunch of years. We're a lot of years removed from that, and now even that sounds disgusting to me. But I appreciate the justification of that verse because it justifies our ancestor, Yachanan the Baptist, when he was eating locust and honey. Okay, so now we know that he wasn't just eating no abominable stuff for somebody that tries to try that old Peter, seen all the animals nonsense in a net. All right. Now, verse 23. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you. 24. And for these ye shall be unclean. Whosoever touches the carcass of them shall be unclean until the evening. 25. And whosoever beareth aught of the carcass of them shall wash his clothes and be unclean until the evening. We wasn't even supposed to touch this stuff that they got on this show. All right. Again, the people who flourish and who eat this type of stuff and know it, okay, would not have written this, knowing that they are a lot least susceptible to said delicacies. Okay. Now, we're moving on. 24 of the 100. David, the chief musician. Look, you can go to Psalms, you can see repeatedly where Dawood is mentioned as the chief musician. Okay. Y'all know who the chief musicians are, who the whole world follows musically. It was no big surprise to me when I found out Beethoven and Mozart and all them was black, because now to think that somebody white who has to copy all of our music and our dances and our ways would be the one initiating a composer and setting a nation astir with this composition would be anybody but a Hebrew is ridiculous. It's not anybody but us. It's obvious, okay? Because even to this day, we're who the world follows for music. We're who the world's listening to, okay? That's a fact. So, but I'll give you one verse that I had here marked by the side, Psalms 109:1. Ain't no chief musicians but us. Stop that, okay? 25. We got a lot of brothers that like to come up to you and say, hey man, you know, the white man wrote the Bible and all this other nonsense. But if you're dealing with a 1%er or Moorish Science Temple or a sovereignty is or Egypt teacher, this is something that I love to tell them because they like to see, they like to make that kind of statement. Okay, so I like to show them, okay, well, brother, are you aware? Okay, excuse me, people. I found out that actually Androids only record at around 30 minutes at a time. So we were cut off last time, and I'm not a person that's particularly versed in video technology. So therefore, I don't know how to edit and add all that stuff and do that. So we're just going to keep rolling. 25, the Renaissance. A lot of Moors, 5%ers, Egypt type brothers, Kemet brothers, you know, Moorish Science Temple. A lot of them love to assert that the white man gave us the Bible and that, you know, all this stuff. So when you deal with these people, ask them about the Renaissance. They're going to jump down your throat. The Renaissance, man, did you out your mind? Boy, I can tell you stuff about the Renaissance. They love it. I do too. Even the so-called whites have it in all their schools. If you look at some pictures or you Google European art, you will see that all of Europe were Negro and Ham, were Shem and Ham. Okay, so, and I don't know if they fixed the algorithm on that, but it used to be if you would Google European art, it would pull up a bunch of Negroes and Hamites. Okay, and they love to assert how well versed they are concerning the Renaissance. So you ask them, okay, so, you know, you talk to people, which some of them were Hebrews, at least it's believed to be that many, or at least some of the Moors were also Hebrew, but some of them were also Ham. Okay, and the Moors taught, it's common history, the so-called white man of these days, how to read, write, cook, put holes in the top of their dwellings, wash, all kind of stuff. Common documentation. Okay? So, how in the world are some people you taught how to read and write gonna come up with a more sophisticated language 2,000 years beforehand? It doesn't work. You can't have the Renaissance and say that they wrote the Bible. Okay, it's nonsense and oxymoron. Moving on. 26. Oh, hold up. Let's get this done on 25. Because this is what, it's a Deuteronomy 28 verse 28:43. And I believe that this is speaking of the Renaissance. I can't put my finger fully on it, but I'm going to assert that this is speaking on the Renaissance. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. That sounds like the Renaissance to me, especially considering, like I said, if you go Google European art or you go through some of those other deals, look how that Moore was standing behind George Washington, clearly endorsing him. Okay, and the real black first president, who knows how many more was before that, because the truth always reveals, it's like an onion. But I believe his name was John Hanson. I always get him mixed up with Matthew Henson. One of them discovered Alaska, and one of them was the first president. I believe it was John Hanson, was a Moor. Okay, so in that respect, he had nothing to do with the Negroes brought over. Okay, nothing to do with them. And I don't know if he had anything to do with the Negro Nativo that was already here. Now, we're moving on to 26, Revelation 2:9. I know thy works in tribulation and poverty, but thou art rich. And I know the blasphemy of them which say they are Jews and are not, but are the synagogue of Satan. First of all, if 99 Negroes go to church, maybe one, no, it won't work in 1%. If 999,000 Negroes go to church, maybe one will say they're headed to a synagogue. We know who's in the synagogues right now. Again, you can listen to South Park, silly stuff like that. Jews are bad, and all that nonsense, because they show fake. Okay, even though they assert the truth on so many other issues, they perpetuate a complete fake storyline when it comes to who the real Hebrews are. So you would think that Hebrews, the real Jews, are greedy. That's the common thing that they're teaching on television. Oh yeah, they're greedy and stingy and they're rolling. Well, then how does that match the description of the Bible? That description matches the imposters, because the Bible clearly says that I know thy poverty. See, now, but thou art rich. There's a reason why that's in a parentheses, or in not a parentheses, but there's a reason why they got that boxed in, because even though we have our poverty, even though we're in prisons, even though we're suffering, even though we're killing each other and being killed by the cops, the whole world is still copying us. The whole world. They still need to trick us into dresses and blonde hair and tattoos, but they need us to sell their products. We sell their products. When we put the stamp on and the world sees that we're wearing it and we're doing it, the world follows, whether you want to admit it or not. The world follows. And that's why, but thou art rich. So there's another verse, I'm not familiar with it, that mentions that basically the nations will look to Judah, Yahudah, for leadership. I'm paraphrasing badly, but some of you know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we got that. Now let's move on. 27, Revelation 3:9. Behold, I will make them of the synagogue of Satan, which say they are Jews and are not, but do lie. Behold, I will make them to come and worship before thy feet, and to know that I have loved thee. See that takes you right back. See that loved thee? I just want you to pay attention to that loved, because we're going to get back to that. Okay, but again, who's asserting that they're Jews? Most of us don't even have a clue. We're not the ones running around saying it. Okay. Common sense. We don't need to go over that again. We know who the imposters are, and we know who the true Eber are. Eber. Okay. 28. Genesis 15:13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. See, there's your stranger again. See, now we're the stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. When they say, well, that was talking about Egypt. They were in Egypt 400 and so many years. Our ancestors were in Egypt, and it is perceived to be 400 and something years. But those are not strangers. We're not a stranger to the Egyptians. They know who we are. Okay. Now, and also Genesis 15:14. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterward they shall come out with great substance. Okay. 28. They didn't write that, people. They're not gonna prophesy against their own self. Okay, and they had no idea how long we would be afflicted over here. If the so-called whites in power had their choice, we'd still be here. And we are still here, okay? And it would never change. Number 29, Acts 13:1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, and Barnabas, and Simeon that was called Niger, and Lucius of Cyrene, and Manaim, which had been brought up with Hadad, the tetrarch, and okay. Niger. See, they call it Niger now because of the conquering forces. I believe that's French. The Niger, pronouncing it like that. It's one of them German, one of those people that changed that. But originally it was Niger. And just like Negro, it means black. Okay, it don't mean, they would not name their country Nigeria or Niger after something that meant dumb or ignorant or a person that doesn't even make sense. That is an infidel definition for a mock against us, thus fulfilling that thou shalt be a proverb and an astonishment in Deuteronomy. Okay, but that's not what it meant. It meant black, meaning, again, y'all don't hear this very often from Hamites, but amongst Negroes, being that we're usually brownish, calling someone who's darker amongst us black is a common term. That's why there's nobody that is not familiar with Negroes that don't know somebody that is called black. So what was Simeon called? Black. He was rolling with a brother called Black. But a lot of people make mention of that. Well, I thought I'd inquire about something. I went to looking into some stuff. I found out Cyrene was Libya. So now we got a brother called Black and another brother from Libya. I would think it would have been something to mention if they were running with a couple of white guys. Okay. So it's another one they would have never written. Okay. Acts. This is number 30. Acts 21:38. Art not thou that Egyptian, which before these days made us an uproar and led us out into the wilderness, 4,000 men that were murderers? Okay, so now Shaul was called an Egyptian. So now we got one called Niger, Black. We got one from Libya, And we got another one amongst these people all running together who was mistaken for an Egyptian. They tried to whitewash all the Egyptian with the movies and just literally whitewashing. Brief, if you look at a lot of specials right now, you're going to see where they just literally wiped off the color from the pharaohs and the people of Egypt. Okay, shamelessness. But this is what has been done. And it's becoming common knowledge to anybody with two eyes that the Egyptians were black. They were what you would call black, so-called black. Like I said, everybody dark at the time wasn't just black because there were no white people. So therefore, you were tribes and nations. Just because they were dark and we were dark don't mean we was just showing up. You're black power, brother. No. If you wasn't from our tribe, our people, we didn't fool with you and care how black you were. But just for the sake of understanding, we know that the Egyptians were black, and therefore Paul could not have been mistaken if he was anything but. Okay, 31. Matthew 2:13. And when they were departed, behold, the angel of Yahweh appeared unto Joseph in a dream, saying, Arise, and take the young child and his mother, and flee into Egypt, and be thou there until I bring thee word. For Hadad will seek the young child to destroy him. Well, a white surfer-looking kid with flowing hair in the wind would not have been hard to find in Egypt. Okay, he had to look like the people, and Joseph and his wife, Miriam, would have had to look like the people too in order to hide there. Okay, so no, they didn't write that because that's damning on the surfer, Cesare Borgia, that they portray. Okay, 32. Exodus 2:10. And the child grew, and she brought him up unto Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she called his name Moshe. And she said, because I drew him out the water. Can't be thought of or even pass as Pharaoh's daughter's son if you don't look like them. Common sense. Okay. Now moving on. 33. Genesis 42:8. And Joseph knew his brethren, but they knew him not. Now, before that, it mentions that he disguised himself. But we know, if this is a white guy disguising himself and his brothers are white, how in the world is he going to disguise himself amongst a bunch of black people, Egyptians, dark complected people, to where his own siblings don't recognize him? It's obvious he was dark just like they were. Okay. 34. Song of Solomon 1:10. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels, thy neck with chains of gold. Thy cheeks are comely with rows of jewels. Again, we know who originally kept jewels in their cheeks. Yeah, we got a lot of copycats and Paul Walls and all that stuff now. But suspend that little 100-year, 80-year nonsense history that they teach you in school. Look into full world history. Look into what the Mayans looked like. Look at what the Guatemalans look like, what the Incans look like. You will find, if you go Google, pictures of them with straight golds in their grill. And they're dark as the ace of spades. Okay? So, we know who's wearing that. We know who that's describing in Song of Solomon 1:10. And we know that they didn't write it. Okay? That was 34. 35. there's a fake narrative amongst the imposters that the woman determines the bloodline. This couldn't be further from what the Bible teaches. Another sign that these people could not have been the people, because they would have known that assertion was ridiculous. Okay, but there's a reason why they pray the Mother Mary, Grace, and all that, and basically discard Joseph in all of Catholicism and the other nonsense religions like that. So there is a common belief amongst the imposters, or perpetuation amongst them, that the woman determines the lineage. Okay, so, but here's what they missed with that ridiculous assertion. Trust me, the woman doesn't do it. But if you're in a situation where somebody is asserting that, take advantage of that ridiculousness and tell them, okay, so Moses married an African, and we know because Aaron and his sister spoke against him for this. Okay, so Moses married a Hamite, Abram married an Egyptian, we know they were black now, Dawood married Bathsheba, and Solomon married an African who said, I am black but beautiful. Well, then wouldn't that make the genealogy of the Hebrews African if the mother determined the genealogy? Again, these people didn't write this book. Okay, they know nothing about it. Moving on. 36. Exodus 32:2. Actually, I'm on Exodus 35. Exodus 35:22. And they came, both men and women, as many as were willing-hearted, and brought bracelets and earrings and rings and tablets, all jewels of gold, and every man that offered an offering of gold unto Yahweh. Numbers 31:50. We have therefore brought an oblation before Yahweh. What every man have gotten of jewels of gold, chains and bracelets, rings, earrings, and tablets, to make an atonement for our souls before Yahweh. Ain't nobody else wearing all of this gold but us. Okay? Nobody else is wearing all of this gold. We are the people who would be walking around with this much stuff on. Same way that we had on all of the gold and jewels and earrings and stuff that made the golden calf. Now, like I said, they love to make fun of us or dress up, put on a bunch of gold chains and all this stuff like all our rappers, truck jewelry. But then once they start seeing that the people in the Bible were akin to the same behavior, then they want to distance it. They want to start showing movies with white guys playing pimps and trying this and wearing gold, Persians and all these other things. But it came from us. Okay, it came from us. We know who that's talking about. Okay, 37. Lamentations 4:8. Now, see, this is where we make the distinction from what Revelation said is head and his hairs. And we see that they knew how to describe a face. Lamentations 4:8, their visage is blacker than coal. They are not known in the streets. Their skin cleaveth through their bones. It is withered. It has become like a stick. Let me translate this to you in Negro, okay? Their visage is blacker than coal. Damn, boy, you been out in the sun. You looking black. They are not known in the streets. Man, ain't nobody seen you for a while, man. Where you been at? Their skin cleaveth to their bones. It is withered and become like a stick. Boy, you looking like you on that stuff. It's the same people. Same lingo. 38. Luke 21:12. But before all these, they shall lay hands on you and persecute you, delivering you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake. We were the one brought before the kings and the rulers, naked, slaves, handcuffed, being touted about from different people to people. We have this, we have that, thrown in jail, persecuted. That's talking about us. How many so-called Jewish are worried about incarceration? How many of them are being shot by cops? Okay, this is obvious who it's talking about. That was 38. 39. 2 Corinthians 11:23. This is Shaul talking. Are they ministers of Hamashiach? I speak as a fool. I am more in labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequent, in deaths often. Again, we know who this is talking about because it's still happening now. In prisons more frequent, in deaths often. Okay, that's why in Deuteronomy it said that you shall perish quickly. The precepts, they stack. 40. Isaiah 42:22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. We know who's hid in prison houses. We know who's the prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. We know who those people are. Okay, continuing. 40. Isaiah 42:22. But this is a people robbed and spoiled. They are all of them snared in holes, and they are hid in prison houses. They are for prey, and none delivereth, for a spoil, and none saith restore. Who's hid in prison houses, man? Who is locked up unproportionately? Is it not Negro and Nativo? It's not the Jewish. They are not for spoil or prey if they have one of the strongest armies. What kind of sense does that make? They're not poor. They're not known for poverty. They don't say their skin is black upon them. That's why every assertion of them being real Jews comes from outside of the Bible. Okay? Because the Bible tells you very clearly who the real Jews are. 41. Leviticus 11:7. And the swine, though he divide the hoof and be cloven-footed, yet he cheweth not the cud, he is unclean to you. Now come on, people. First of all, the majority of, if not all of the Nativo did not partaketh of swine. Okay? We most definitely didn't. It wasn't just that they were feeding us the worst parts of the swine to eat, and that's what, no, we wasn't eating no swine. Okay, so just the fact of them giving it to us to eat was terrible on us. Okay, but you would think that the people who every time they make a new sandwich in fast food is basically adding bacon. Oh yeah, but we added bacon to it. You know, so they did bacon this, bacon bits. We got bacon ice cream. You go look at the silly cooking shows, and they are adding bacon to everything. Okay, they love bacon. Okay, there is no way that they would write this calling the swine an abomination. They had prize pigs. The whole Charlotte's Web, one of the greatest childhood accomplishments, was about a prized pig. Okay, they would not write that condemning the pig as that. Not only that, if you go again and you go Google or you go research and you go see who's most likely to die from the effects of pork consumption or unfully cooked beef, it's always in the same row. Negro, Nativo, who they call Latino, it's Nativo. Okay, now you're going to call somebody Latino, ain't nobody Latin. Okay, so it's going to say African Americans, the Negro. Then it's going to say either Mexican or Puerto Rican and Native American. We're the only people suffering from it because we were the only people told not to eat it. Okay, it's that simple. That's why our high blood pressure, hypertension, colon cancer, these things affect us more often because we weren't supposed to have that stuff in our body. Okay, 42. Genesis 27:31. And he also had made savory meat, and brought it unto his father, and said unto his father, let my father arise and eat of his son's venison, that thy soul may bless me. Okay, there's a running joke that they show. I've seen a meme on Facebook and Twitter, or not Twitter, and Instagram, where they had a brother that said over the top that you're going over to a white person's house to eat. Okay, so-called white person's house to eat. And he had like a tool belt on with all kind of different seasonings on there. It's a common theme that Caucasians don't season their food much. Okay, so for them to be writing 3,000 years ago about savory meat is highly unlikely. Okay, but furthermore, even to this day, go down the spice aisle. Why do you think there's black faces on the spices? Why do you think there's Negro faces on the syrup and on the pancake mix and on the rice? Because Caucasians did not know how to cook. So to think that they needed us to teach them how to cook barbecue and all this other stuff in America, but somehow they knew how to make savory meat 3,000 years ago, is clear-cut evidence that they did not write this. 43. White people generally, so-called white people, generally do not like spanking their children. If you go Google race most likely to spank their children. Instantly, you're going to see the Negro pop up there first, and then Nativo. Okay, Proverbs 13:24. He that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. Chasteneth him betimes. Chastises him sometimes. That's how we do it. It's in our natural nature. A people who is naturally averse to discipline their child by spankings wouldn't write that it means love. Imposters. They didn't write it. 44. Exodus 16:26. First, why would they worship on the first day of the week instead of the last if they wrote this Sunday? And you can go to your calendar app, pull it up on your phone app, or look at a calendar on your wall. You will see, even though they start the day on a Monday, the day of the moon, again, that might be some female fertility worship or Isis, Aset worship, or some other trickery they got going on. But the fact of the matter is, the first day of the week is Sunday, the day of the sun. And they would never put the day of the moon before the day of the sun, okay? Because that's their little nonsense belief. So let's see what the Bible says about it. Exodus 16:26. 6 days ye shall gather it, but on the seventh day, which is the Shabbat or Sabbath, in it there shall be none. Exodus 28. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy. Exodus 20:10. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh thy Elohim. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. Exodus 31:13. Speak thou also unto the children of Yasharal, saying, verily my Sabbaths ye shall keep, for it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that ye may know that I am Yahweh, that doth sanctify you. See, we are sanctified on the Shabbat. By the way, Shabbat Shalom. Also, I forgot to mention that. Okay. Now, 31:16. Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Shabbat, to observe the Shabbat throughout their generations for a perpetual covenant. Nowhere at no time is it supposed to be thrown out for the first day of the week. Envy not thou oppressor, and choose none of their ways. Keep the Shabbat, Hebrews. It is that day. And anybody that's looking to be grafted in, The Shabbat is still in effect. Okay, it is the day that you are sanctified. Moving on. 45. Love thy neighbor. Y'all know that the Bible says love thy neighbor, so we don't need to go through all of that. Okay. Did they love their neighbor even in the least possibility? I mean, could there be a least candidate in the history of the world for loving their neighbor? They didn't write it. Okay. 46. Thou shalt not put no gods before me. Idolatry. You think these people wrote this to people who pledge allegiance to a flag? Who bow to a statue of liberty? Who created Egyptian obelisks in all type of different manner of satanic and paganistic nonsense? Wrote, put no God before Yahweh? No. 47. Honor thy father and mother. What do the so-called white people promote on television? Father hate. He's always wrong. You can go from shows where we're getting smacked or punched out by old women or ladies and kicked in our stuff. Every other show, it's a running joke. Okay, you can go turn on the commercials and some female is going to be talking about, actually, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, and the guy's going to be like, oh, okay, well, thank you for enlightening me. You're going to have a female, girls drive better. Actually, girls drive better. These people are not going to tell you to honor your father. Number 2, and those of you who've been to school and been in sports and stuff like that, with some of the white guys, I have, because I played sports and I still got someone that's my friend now, and I had never seen anybody more disrespectful to their mother than white guys. Is it still rolling? Okay, leave it alone. All right. So we know that they didn't write that. 48. Thou shalt not lie. Come on, people. The greatest liars in the history of the world created fake Jews. There was somewhere between 49 and 51. I don't know exactly what it was. Look it up. Created the Jewish state. Sent them people over there, stole our identity. Them people weren't no Jews at all, still ain't. That's why they're Jewish. You ever heard anybody come along and say, oh, yeah, I'm blackish. You know, I'm Mexican-ish. I'm Chinese-ish. Ish denotes fake. So if it's 7-ish, that doesn't mean 7. So them being Jewish literally means them being a Jew is some ish. Okay? It's that simple. They're not Jews. You know what I'm saying? So, and white man would never wrote thou shalt not lie. Stop. The same people that gave our nativo brethren fake blankets, those are the neighbor treaters. Well, those are the people that shall not lie. Created race to hide their identity. Because before there was race, there was only tribes. And when I asked people, okay, so Mexican, Mexico, Spaniard, Spain, Latino, from wherever Latin is, Italian, Italy, Japanese, Japan, you know, where are the people in the Caucasus Mountains? They say Caucasian. Where are they at? Okay, but even before all of those extracurricular names, we had tribes. China, Japan, Moab, and Ammon. They had a people. Okay, so many of these other people had a people. That's why it said in, I believe in Deuteronomy, it said these are a people who are not a people. Okay, so therefore they had to come up with race, make it seem like all blacks are the same and all whites are the same, and that's how things work, but that's not how it was. Okay, now, moving on, 49. Thou shalt not make any graven images. America is full of graven images. Hebrews knew better. That's why we didn't have any descriptions of ourselves. That's why it was easy to replace our descriptions with this surfer, Cesar Borgia, because we weren't allowed to make any of ourselves. That was a graven image. And it was generally understood that these are Negroes anyway before the term Negro even came about. The Hamites knew we were different than them. That's why all our first captors, aside from Ishmael, were Hamites. Okay. Now, staying with that, the Assyrians, Babylonians, Egyptians, Romans, Russians, Italians, Greeks, and more showed them as black. All you got to do is go back or go and Google black Jews or depictions of blacks as Jews on the walls. You will see from Italy, Rome was Italy, but the Romans, the Italians, Russians, Greeks, they got pictures of us straight black, full beards, some of them even with locks, froze, all of that, on their walls, okay? So, because when we were enslaved in their capture, they made depictions of us. The Egyptians did too, okay? And they were all black. They were all Negro, what would be so-called black. 50, the Big Bang. In the beginning, God created heaven and earth. Why would they write some silly explosion in the middle of nowhere, created all of this order, if they wrote a book that starts out with God created heaven and earth? Whose time is it on?
14 minutes.
All right, bro. Genesis 1:5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. Keep track of that. The evening and the morning were the first day. Keep track of that first day also. Okay. So now we know that they would not have written this Big Bang nonsense if they wrote this book. Okay. 51. The firmament. If they wrote the Bible, why would they teach science of no firmament in all their schools? Research Operation Fishbowl. Okay, it's a military operation where they literally tried to blow away the firmaments. But as it turned out, the hardest substance turned out to be, in fact, glass. You just have to keep reinforcing it because they cannot break through. Genesis 1:6. Now we're rolling straight from 1:5 into this, from 50 into 51. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. They're not going nowhere. Okay. 52. They say that there's people living on the bottom of the earth. There's just people on the bottom. It's a globe. We got people on top and all of that. Okay. Well, again, Genesis 1:7. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. Okay. Now, in the Bible, you can just go look up the great deep. They have found in science, you can go look this up, the scientists have already backed this. There is water, as much or even more water under as there is above. Clear signs of the flood and clear signs that there's no people on up under it. It's flat, plain. There's no people on the bottom. They would not teach that there's people somehow standing upside down, but somehow they think they're right side up on the other side of the earth from some made up gravity nonsense if they would wrote that there were waters up under there. All right. 53. The solar system. All of our minerals and components of life were said to have come from the sun. That's what the solar system means. They say that the sun's intense heat created gold and iron and magnesium and all these different minerals. And somehow they just floated through a vacuum and made it to this place. And somehow it has some kind of atmosphere, all this other nonsense. But let's see what the Bible says about it. Genesis 1:16. And God made two lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. Genesis 1:18. And to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from darkness, and God saw that it was good. So, we see clearly now that the Bible does not condone the solar system because, remember earlier, heaven and earth were made first. So that goes against everything coming from the sun. Genesis 1:18, we already read that. 54. that the earth rotates around the sun. Okay, Genesis 1:19. And the evening and morning were the fourth day. See, what was the earth rotating around for 3 days? False. No solar system, no rotating around, no Big Bang, infidelity according to the Bible. They did not write it. 55. Hebrew and Greek. Why would they write a book that they need translated? Who does that? I'm going to sit down and write a paper and then go commission somebody to help me read it? Stop, people. They did not write this book. Okay? 56. Be ye fruitful and multiply. Genesis 9:7. And ye, be ye fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth and multiply therein. The mass producers of abortion, and again, I told you, they came up with all of these to keep us from overpopulating them. Okay, it's that simple. They would not promote abortion. They would not promote pills for birth control. They would not promote condoms. They would not promote all of these methods that they're using in order to keep us from overpopulating them. It's that simple. But trust me, they would not write, be fruitful and multiply. Now we're going to come back to that fruitful and multiply on another point also. Right here, 57. Do not castrate any male animals. Spayed and neutered is of Satan, because the Most High told us to be fruitful and multiply. All inhabitants, animals, humans, fish, in the sea, on the land, it is a commandment to be fruitful and multiply. That's why it is almost impossible to stop a male dog from getting away unless you just chain him in the basement because of his drive in order to do what God has made him to do. That's why lions and animals will kill each other and fight brutally because of that drive. That's why men will take risks and get set up for robberies and be outlaid and crawl in windows and take all these chances. They know that drive. Instead of them recognizing that drive and making things accordingly to that drive, they set up traps in order to exploit you for that drive. We'll shoot in these diseases that nobody ever had. Okay, we'll bring in all of this trickery, all to punish them for what God made us to do. Now on that castrate, Leviticus 22:24, ye shall not offer unto Yahweh that which is bruised or crushed or broken or cut, neither shall you make an offering thereof in your land. So no, it wasn't no good for the offerings either. Don't disarm and cut on the animal like that. Okay, that is infidelity, and they didn't write it. 58. Why would they teach their favorite John 3:16 verse when Gentiles and Samaritans were clearly excluded? Not just Gentiles and Samaritans, but basically everybody that's not a lost Hebrew of a Hebrew people. Okay, Matthew 10:5. These 12 Hamashiach sent forth and commanded them, saying, go not unto the way of the Gentiles, and into the city of the Samaritans enter ye not. Why would they write that when they are clearly Gentiles? And they clearly teach that Christ is for everybody. They got the Christ church. They love to run around with the surfer. They toting them over everybody else. Well, Christ loved everybody. He died for everybody. Well, clearly he didn't, because he told them don't go to these people. 59, Christianity. Why would they name their religion after somebody they know nothing of? Y'all didn't know that he had skin as if it cooked in a furnace? Y'all didn't know that he'd say give Caesar what is Caesar's? Y'all didn't know all of these different things about him that clearly pit him against the fake surfer looking dude that you perpetuate, and you're persecuting the people that look just like him from his tribe? Because we got Yahudah over here, we got Ephraim over here, we got God, we got Don, we got several of us over here. You're persecuting his people, his lost sheep. We're the only people lost. We're the only people without a name. We're the only people without a label. It's clear who he's talking about. Why in the world would you name your religion after him, and yet you have nothing to do with what he says? He says, I come not to destroy the law. Y'all teach the law is done away with because there's no way that the so-called white man can really keep the law. It's just not, they're not a lawful people. And all most other peoples, if the law wasn't given to them anyway, though we're supposed to teach them, the law was not given to them. The Shabbats were not given to them. The holy days were not given to them. Okay, so I'm not railing any accusations against them for not keeping it. The only accusations are for the only people that get punished for not keeping them. Us. 60. John 3:16. It's meaning Hamashiach died for everybody. Really? Listen, if I raped, pillaged, and murdered everywhere I went, I would most definitely teach it's for everybody. But to think that the people who wrote this actually feel that way is ridiculous, because that's not how everybody has been treated. Okay, so many of the Israelite brothers, brethren, and other people have broken this down and ripped it to shreds. I feel no need to add anything to this. I'm going to piggyback on some of the lessons the other brothers in the camps and people have already taught, and we're going to roll. First of all, loved has never meant the same as loves. Now, see, I mentioned loved to you earlier. See, when it said the people that I loved, not love. Okay. Right there, you should have known something was wrong when it said loved, for Yah so loved the world. Is there not a world anymore? Did they not know how to write loves? So what world is it speaking? Isaiah 45:17. Thus saith Yahweh, the labor of Egypt and the merchandise of Ethiopia and of the Sabaeans, men of stature, shall come over to thee, and they shall be thine. And they shall come after thee, in chains they shall come over, and they shall fall down unto thee, and they shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely Elohim, God, is in thee, and there is none else. There is no God. Isaiah 45, I started at 14, this is 15. Verily thou art a God that hidest thyself, O God of Israel, the Savior of Israel, Yashara, the Savior. 16, they shall be ashamed and also confounded, all of them. They shall go to confusion together that are makers of idols. People claiming the Ethiopians are the real Jews, again, are false. Now, we got spread to the four corners, so there are some of us over there, but no. Ethiopians are Hamites, okay? So that goes along with Hasalasi too, okay? That's not, they got their business too. Now moving on to 17. But Israel shall be saved in Yahweh with an everlasting salvation. Ye shall not be ashamed nor confounded, world without end. That's Isaiah 45:17. Okay. 18. For thus saith Yahweh that created the heavens, God himself that formed the earth and made it. He hath established it. He created it not in vain. He formed it to be inhabited. See that? That brings us right back to the spayed and neutered. Again, the precepts continually show you that these people had nothing to do with this or any understanding whatsoever of what it really says while they're claiming it. I am Yahweh, and there is none else. Out with the Trinity. Okay? 19. I have not spoken in secret in a dark place of the earth. I said not unto the seed of Yaakov, seek ye me in vain. I, Yahweh, speak righteousness, and I declare things that are right. 20. Assemble yourselves and come. Draw near together, ye that are escaped of the nations. They have no knowledge that set up the wood of their graven image and pray unto a God that cannot save. Okay? We're spread out in the nations. The so-called Jewish people are not. Okay? That's another clear proof that they are not the people that the Bible is speaking of. 61. Now we know who Christ died for. Let's deal with God loving everybody. It's another common Gentile teaching. Again, I would like to think that if I plundered and pillaged everybody I came across, but the word does not support said notion. Let's start with Canaan. Name spelled Canaan. They call Canaan. What is all these A's for then if it's just Canaan? Canaan. Genesis 9:26. And he said, blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. Genesis 17:8. And I will give unto thee and to thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, who you call Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. Genesis 28:1. And Isaac called Yaakov and blessed him and charged him and said unto him, thou shalt not take a wife of the daughters of Canaan. Okay, clearly, we're no friend of Canaan. Matthew 15:26. No, let's go to Matthew 15:22. And behold, a woman of Canaan came out of the same coast and cried unto him, saying, have mercy on me, O Lord, thou son of Dawood. My daughter is grievously vexed with a devil. But he answered, Matthew 15:26, but he answered and said, it is not meet to take the children's food and cast it to the dogs. Canaan is not loved by Yah. Esau, Malachi 1:2. I have loved you, saith Yahweh. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau Yaakov's brother, saith Yahweh? Yet I loved Yaakov. Malachi 1:3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountains and heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness, which is why I don't think they're Esau, okay? First of all, how are we going to not know our own twin brother? And then his mountains were laid to waste. Obadiah 1:18. And the house of Yaakov shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph a flame, and the house of Esau for stubble. And they shall kindle in them, and devour them. And they shall not be any remaining of the house of Esau for the Yahweh, for Yahweh have spoken it. There's not even no house left. How are they Esau? And they didn't write it. Plain and simple. Romans 9:13. As it is written, Yaakov have I loved, but Esau have I hated. Right there, you got Gentiles, Samaritans, Canaan, and Esau not loved by Elohim. Deuteronomy 32:8. When the Most High divided the nations their inheritance, when he separated the sons of Adawam and set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. 32:9. For Yahweh's portion is his people. Yaakov is the lot of his inheritance. Lot means the full portion. That's what you got coming. When you get a lot, if you buy a lot on the street, you don't get the whole block. You get the lot. We are the lot of his inheritance, ending, starting, and ending. Deuteronomy 32:10. He found them in the desert land, in a waste, howling wilderness. He led him about. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. Joel 3:2. Joel. I will also gather all the nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat and will plead with them for my people and for my heritage Israel, not the world, whom they have scattered among the nations. See that precept? There it goes again. Scattered amongst the nations and parted my land. Put these infidels in there. Okay. 2nd Esdras 6:5-4. Y'all knew I was going here. After these days, Adawam also, whom thou madest Lord of all thy creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom thou hast chosen. And 2nd Esdras 6:55. All this have I spoken before thee, O Yahweh, because thou madest the world for our sakes. 2nd Esdras 6:56. As for the other people, which also come of Adawam, thou hast said that they are nothing, but be like unto spittle, and hast likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falleth from a vessel. Here is a vessel. There's a drop. Okay? So, yes, would I encourage any people to keep the laws of God, to keep the holy days and to follow right? Yes, because that is our commission. But to say that God loves everybody is patently false. '62, charging interest. Between the United States and Europe, these nations have driven up and charged more interest than anybody in the history of the world, at least for what we know. I can't speak of before the flood. I can't speak of what might have happened in Kemet and different places. From what we understand and know, nobody has done more. Okay, how could they possibly have written that you cannot charge your brother's interest? Between the IRS and their justice systems, just stop. Okay. Exodus 22:25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usurer, as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury, interest. You can't charge your brother interest by original Hebrew. So you Hebrew brothers out there, stop doing that. Deuteronomy 23:19. Thou shalt not lend upon usury to thy brother, usury of money, usury of victuals, usury of anything that is lent upon usury, period. You cannot loan your brother or sister a piece of bubble gum for interest. Nothing. No interest. Deuteronomy 23:20. Unto a stranger thou mayest lend upon usury, but unto thy brother thou shalt not lend upon usury, that the Lord thy God, or Yahweh thy Elohim, may bless thee in all that thou settest thy hand to do in the land, whether thou goest to possess it. Okay, so know that. We're not supposed to be sweating each other. We're not supposed to be charging interest. We're not supposed to be doing that to each other, but we are supposed to charge it of the stranger, of the Gentile. They didn't write that. Their whole society is based on charging interest. Every vehicle you buy, every loan you get, every bank you go to, it's all based on charging interest. If they weren't supposed to charge their brothers, suffice it to say they didn't write it. Okay. 63. Yahusha of Nazareth, or Jesus of Nazareth. First, let's consider the vow of the Nazarite. Numbers 6:2. Speak unto the children of Yasharallah, Israel, and say unto them, when either man or woman shall separate themselves to vow a vow of a Nazarite, to separate themselves unto Yahweh. Numbers 6:3. He shall separate himself from wine and strong drink, and shall drink no vinegar or wine, or vinegar of strong drink, neither shall he drink any liquor of grapes, nor eat moist grapes or dry, no raisins or grapes. Numbers 6:4. All these days of his separation shall he eat nothing that is made of the vine tree, from the kernels even to the husk. Numbers 6:5. All the days of the vow of his separation there shall no razor come upon his head until the days be fulfilled, in the which he separateth himself unto Yahweh. He shall be holy, and shall let the locks of his hair, locks of the hair of his head grow. Okay. I didn't mention this earlier, but let me clarify this to you people. There's a trickery phrase from the infidel called dreadlocks. That's what you think that I have. It's dreadlocks. The term dread is an English term. Okay, it means to dread something. I dread going to work on Mondays. That's all it meant, was they dreaded. They were dubbed the dreaded locks. Okay, because the brothers fighting against them, some of the Haitians, some of the Jamaicans, some of the Guano, and different was fighting, and they had locks in their hair, and they were outstanding guerrilla fighters, and so they dreaded fighting them. And that's where the term the dreaded locks come from. They are locks. That's what they are. There's no such thing as dreads, meaning hair. There's some more infidelity of this silly language that we're dealing with over here. So it's called locks, not dreads. Okay, so when you hear locks in there, that way they can hide it and then come back with some curly, swirly trash falling off the side of somebody's head and tell you that's a lock. How is that locked in? Anybody can go right up to them, take your finger and run it straight through that trash. Not so with this. So I think we know whose hair is locked. Now, let's consider another not so right. Judges 13:5. Judges 13:5. For lo, thou shalt conceive and bear a son, and no razor shall come on his head, for the child shall be a Nazarite unto Elohim from the womb, and he shall begin to deliver Yasharallah out of the hand of the Philistines. Judges 16:13. And Delilah said unto Samson, hitherto thou hast mocked me, and told me lies. Tell me where thou mightest be bound. And he said unto her, if thou weavest the 7 locks of my head with the web. Can you imagine taking 7 of those curly, swirly question marks that those so-called Jews have on their head and weaving it into a web? First of all, most of them only have 2. The only fact that they even perpetuate this nonsense is because nobody's taking the time to read and hear these type of things to say, how could they even possibly have had 7 locks of their head and have it weaved? We know who's getting their locks weaved. Again, this is weave. This is weaving it. There's braiding it, broided, and there's weaving it. He was going to get it weaved into a web. And like I said, I don't have time for going to the beauty place all the time and here and there. But I could have easily went down to the shop and had those people weave my locks to where you can see it'll look like a spider web. Okay, you've seen it with braids. You've seen it with locks. You know what people is talking about. All right. Now, Hamashiach, Mark 10:47. And when he heard that there was Jesus of Nazareth, and he began to cry out and say, Jesus, thou son of David, have mercy on me. John 18:5. They answered him, Jesus of Nazareth. Jesus said unto them, I am he. And Judas also, which betrayed him, which stood with him. Luke 18:37. And they told him that Jesus of Nazareth passeth by. John 18:7. Then asked he them again, whom seek ye? And they said, Jesus of Nazareth. Matthew 21:11. And the multitude said, this is Jesus, the prophet of Nazareth of Galilee. We know the vows of the Nazarite. We know what Samson's hair was like. So we know that there's a great, great, great possibility that at some time Hamashiach had locks. I couldn't see a place being named after the vow, and ain't nobody taking the vow. 64. The globe. Job 26:7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. No globe, people. But you believe what you want. If you follow this word here, there's no globe. And the people who perpetuate the globe would not have written this. You can't stay true north on a globe. Okay? You can't do it. So if he says he stretches out the north over the empty place, you know that's going one direction. That's going one direction. Didn't say he stretches out the north to the south. No. Stretcheth it out. As far as east is from west. Isaiah 40:22. It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. Spreadeth again. So now we got to north, and now we got spread. No globe, people. Revelation 7:1. And after these things, I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth. No globe, people. Matthew 4:8. Again, Satan, or the devil, taketh them up into an exceeding high mountain, and showeth them all the kingdoms of the world and the glory of them. How are you going to show them all the kingdoms of the world when so many of them are supposed to be on the other side, and he's standing on a mountain? How is that possible? People say they cannot see the curvature from so-called space, but yet they were able to see every inhabitant in kingdom from a mountain. As you can see, these people didn't write that. 65, spinning earth. Psalms 93, Yahweh reigneth, he is clothed with majesty. Yahweh is clothed with strength, wherewith he hath girded himself. The world is also established, that it cannot be moved. Cannot be moved. Psalms 104:5. Who laid the foundations of the earth, that it should not be removed forever. 1 Chronicles 16:30. Fear before him all the earth. The world also shall be stable, that it be not moved. Psalms 96:10. Say among the heathen that Yahweh reigneth. The world also shall be established, that it shall not be moved. He shall judge the people righteously. Man, it's not being moved, okay? It's plain and simple. They wouldn't have come up with this silly world spinning, rotating around the sun, hurtling through outer space at 60,000 miles an hour. It's just nonsense if they wrote this. Isaiah 48:13. Mine hand also hath laid the foundation of the earth, and my right hand hath spanned the heavens. Span. Here we go again. When I call unto them, they stand up together. I don't know who's standing up under somewhere. Okay. 66, New Year's. Was in ear translates Abib. Okay, so that's why they call it the month of Abib. That's what we call it that. The first month. Okay, one doesn't need to be a scientist to know that the Bible is saying the New Year starts when the seasons determine it, and not when everything is frozen. Okay, Exodus 9:31. And the flax and the barley was smitten, for the barley was in ear, and the flax was boiled. Exodus 12:2. This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Again, these people would not start the year in the dead of winter, when all the plants and stuff have not budded or come back, the grass is discolored, the leaves are gone. How is this the start of the year? Nobody would start out their farm and their stuff in the dead of winter. It's simple. They had no clue about that. And that's why they declared such a silly notion. They didn't write it. 67, Christmas. If his birthday was important, do not you think they would have listed it? But it was not listed. Matthew 2:14. When he arose, he took the young child and his mother by night and departed into Egypt. Luke 2:1. And it came to pass in those days that there went out a decree from Caesar Augustus that all the world should be taxed. Now let's just go back to that. You're saying that they arose in the dead of winter and took a young child and the mother by night in the part of Egypt in the dead of winter? No. Do you think that they would pass a decree that everybody would have to go pay taxes when it was snow outside or cold or frozen? No. Luke 2:7. And she brought forth her firstborn son and wrapped him in swaddling clothes and laid him in a manger because there was no room for them in the inn. Again, this is not happening near December 25th. Wrapping a baby and swaddling a baby and laying them in a manger? Come on now. Luke 2:8. And there were in the same country shepherds abiding in the field, keeping watch over their flock by night. Again, ain't no brother standing out there freezing in the dead of winter with no flocks. Okay. Luke 2:39. And when they had performed all the things according to the law of Yahweh, there's that law again, people, they returned into Galilee to their own city, Nazareth. So it's a good chance some of them had locks too, people. But also they're traveling from place to place. They went to and fro. If you go read the story, they were traveling to and fro, proclaiming stuff and making errands and making moves. So they wasn't just running around. They're moving children around. These people returning to Galilee and running from where they're at in different places in the dead of the winter. They're not doing it. Okay. 68. If I told you he ran with prostitutes, drank wine, was snitched on by his own homie, and killed by his own people, what race would you say is? Who is that most likely to happen to right now? 69. The British defectors established a Whig party in America. And as you see, when they showed you in school, these people wearing these gray wigs and silly dumb stuff like that. Deuteronomy 22:5. The women shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto Yahweh thy Elohim. Look, these people clearly did not write this verse. They had on makeup and wigs in their first pictures that they display. George Washington had on a wig and makeup. Okay, so many of their other, I don't know all them dudes' names, don't care. But we know that they had a wig party and a gang of them was wearing wigs. Okay, so no, there's no way that they wrote that. Number 70. You know our social security numbers are connected with the queen. Okay, there were no queens ever over Israel. No queens. Okay, so therefore, why were they people who swear fealty to her queen going to write a book where there were no queens in Israel? 71. Holidays. Especially, let's deal with Halloween. The Bible teaches that the holy days are forever. And the word holiday is a satanic derivation or a satanic derivative of holy day. It's all it is. They just added an I. Okay, and that becomes the satanic holidays. Let's see what the Bible says about that. 1 Corinthians 10:21. Ye cannot drink the cup of Yahweh and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. You can't do both. So how in the world are you going to dress your children up like Satan, bring them to the house of God, and feed them sugar? What? 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? Come on, man. 2 Corinthians 6:15. And what concord hath Hamashiach with Belial? And what part hath he that believeth with an infidel? No, you can't be of Yah and celebrate satanic holidays. The people that wrote that should know that. 72. This is touchy because we've been brainwashed to where so many Hebrews don't even remember what their grandparents, when they married, how they married. They're caught up under the narrative of these infidel producing bad families. But let's see what the Bible says about the age of marriage. First of all, we know the Gentiles love women that are already ran through. They have no value for virginity like that. Okay. And they want men arrested who would marry virgin, thus statutory rape. How could they have possibly written this verse? 1 Corinthians 7:36. But if any man think that he behaveth himself uncomely toward his virgin, if she pass the flower of her age and need so require, let him do what he will. He sinneth not. Let them marry. See, past the flower means the menstrual cycle. God never makes mistakes. If God says that she's ready to bear children, who is man to come along and say she's not ready yet? That's what's leading to scorned women, dating sites, STDs, abortions, child services, immature fathers, foster homes, broken homes. Okay, women are emotional. They were not made to have their heart repeatedly broken. And trust me, every woman shows it. It's always little signs that y'all do that shows repeatedly when your virtue has been run amok. It starts out with little stuff, like you start noticing that she's getting one more tat here, one more tat there, coloring the hair, changing up the look, caking on makeup. When she was a virgin, you go find any one of those females, they found no need to do any of that extracurricular to feel attractive. It is a subliminal response to what you know inside is your virtue being violated. And it is the infidel that has perpetuated this. There's no way they wrote. And boys and girls were never meant to be in school together. You don't take a woman coming into her flowering who is prepared for childbirth, who is almost 100%, I'd say over 150% more mature than that same male, that same age, and put them in the same school where they can play house. And then hand out condoms in said school, even from the middle school, is the behavior of devils and not something that somebody wrote to marry virgins as virgins would ever put on there. 73. Leprosy in the Bible condemns Gentiles, again, as with what God showed Moses with white skin and blonde hair. Leviticus 13:29. If a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, Leviticus 13:30. Then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in the sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. A blonde hair, we didn't know blonde, said yellow, and it is a dry scald, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. So if you got blonde, yellow hair in your beard, even at that time, you were unclean. Why would they write that? Leviticus 13:38. If a man also or a woman have in the skin of their flesh bright spots, even white bright spots. Leviticus 13:39. Then the priest shall look, and behold, if the bright spot in the skin of their flesh be darkish white, it is a freckled spot that groweth in the skin. He is clean. See, again, how is a darkish white spot going to stand out on somebody who's already that color? And why, and since when has a darkish white spot on somebody white been considered a freckle? '74. Pagan days of the week. Hosea. And it will be in that day, says Yahweh, you will call me my husband and no longer call me my Lord. And I will take from her mouth the names of the pagan deities, and they will not be remembered by their name anymore. Shmuel, Exodus 23:13. And in all that I have said to you, give heed and make no mention of the name of other Elohim, nor let it be heard from your mouth. Sunday is the day of the sun. It's named after the pagan Romulus or Ramius, It is a Roman holiday. It is the day of the sun. It is the first day of the week. Okay. 2, Monday, the day of the moon. It's the second derived from Anglo-Saxon Monandag, which means the moon's day. Tuesday, Tears Day, is the third day of the week, named after the Norse god of war, son of Odin. Woden, which is interesting because we now contrive Thor as the son of Odin. But Romaeus honored their god of war, Mars, by naming the third day for him, Des Martes. In France, the day is Mardi, and in Italy, Marteda, and in Spain, Martes. So we know that in Española, Martes, lunes, martes. Yes, Martes. Okay, third day of the week. 4, Woden's Day is the fourth day of the week. Named in honor of Odin, or Woden, chief deity in the Norse mythology. Woden, Wednesday. Languages, Latin origin, root, French, same thing. Okay, now, number 5 is Thor's Day. You watch the movie Thor and all that stuff. Okay, that's what Thursday is named after, Thor. Norse mythology is the deity of thunder, eldest son of Odin, ruler of the gods. Okay, eldest son. Thor's Day. Friday is, I don't know if that's Frigg or Freig's Day. I think it's Frigg's Day. Named for Frigg or Frigga, who in Norse mythology is the female deity of the sky and wife of Odin. And y'all saying TGIF, huh? It's also the deity of love in the 6th day. And Saturday, Saturn's Day, is the 7th day of the week, named in honor of Romaeus, deity Saturn. Okay, we didn't have nothing to do with this nonsense. They wouldn't have came up with all this pagan nonsense, okay, if they would have wrote a book exclusively against such type of behavior, idolatry, and nonsense. 75, Catholicism, the religion of the Gentiles. Celibacy is of Satan. Why would they have a religion that teaches celibacy when the Bible said be fruitful and multiply? Even the priests of the Bible are supposed to marry a virgin. But instead of what the God commanded of the priests, the elders, the pastors, the deacons, the bishops, to marry a virgin, instead they have replaced virgins with men in homosexuality. Leviticus 21:10. And he that is the high priest among his brethren, upon whose head the anointing oil was poured, and that is consecrated to put on the garments, shall not uncover his head nor rend his clothes. See, there is specific priest over the people not to uncover his head. Not everybody in the synagogue. Leviticus 21:13. And he shall take a wife in her virginity, not be celibate. Leviticus 21:14. A widow or a divorced woman or profane or an harlot, these shall he not take, but he shall take a virgin of his own people to wife. See, you would have thought they would have known that before they passed statutory rape. You would have thought they'd have known that before they preached celibacy. But they knew nothing of the word of the original people. They were just faking. 76, slavery. Oh, they love to tell you about slavery. They used that to slave y'all. They told y'all they could treat you any kind of way. Okay. Let's see. Leviticus 25:43. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shall fear thy Elohim. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor. That violates their behavior right off the top. And that nonsense y'all talking about later about they said that if you want to kill them or beat them or whatever, stick with the precepts, homie. You can't just pick and choose out the Bible. It doesn't read like that. Leviticus 25:47. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, Leviticus 25:48. After that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Lord, or Yahweh, shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and thou shalt be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwoman, and no man shall buy you. That's what that unredeemed means. Okay? And ye shall hallow the 15th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you, and ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. Leviticus 25:54. And if he be not redeemed in these years, then he shall go out in the year of jubilee, both he and his children with him. These people kept us hundreds of years, people. Why would they write that 15 years there's a jubilee and that you have to free the people when they kept us for hundreds of years? We're still in bondage over here, regardless of if we're in shackles or not. Number 77, the national bird, the eagle. Why would they nationally claim a bird that they listed as an abomination? Leviticus 11:13. And these are they which ye shall have in abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination, the eagle and the ossifrage and the osprey. Jeremiah 49:16. The terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thine heart. O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Though thou shouldest make thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. Obadiah 1:4. Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, see how those precepts line up? And though thou settest thy nest amongst the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith Yahweh. Lamentations 4:16. The anger of Yahweh hath divided them. He will no more regard them. They respected not the persons of the priests. They favored not the elders. 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us. 18. They hunt our steps, that we cannot go in our streets. Our end is near. This sounds like when the Romans were pursuing us. Our days are fulfilled, for our end is come. 19. Our persecutors are swifter than eagles of the heaven. They pursued us upon the mountains. They laid wait for us in the wilderness. 20. The breath of our nostrils, the anointed of Yahweh, was taken in their pits, of whom we said, under his shadow we shall live among the heathen. Hosea 8:1. Set the trumpet to thy mouth. He shall come as an eagle against the house of Yahweh, because they have transgressed my covenant and trespassed my law. Law is done away with, is strictly of Satan. Keep that in mind. But we're working with the eagle right now. Hosea 8:8. Israel is swallowed up. Now shall they be among the Gentiles as a vessel wherein is no pleasure. Hosea 8:9. For they are gone up to Assyria, a wild ass alone by himself. Ephraim hath hired lovers. See, this is why I by the Spirit, believe that I've been shown that the majority of the brothers, especially that were already here in the Americas, a lot of them are of Ephraim, the speckled bird, because y'all have features. You have noses of Ham. Some of you have smooth faces of Hamites, and many different features, athletic, big, so many things that just weren't natural to the Hebrew people. So I understand when it says that Ephraim was mixing with the Hamites and the Gentiles and other nations. I see signs of it right now. But that's for another subject. Hosea 8:10. Yea, though they have hired among the nations, now will I gather them. See, I believe that some of us that was sent over on a boat was brought to bring y'all back, because y'all are idolatrous, okay, and y'all have departed from the law, and that law done away with works very well over here. Let's start over on 10. Yea, though they have hired among the nations, now I will gather them, and they shall sorrow for a little the burden of the king of princes. 11. Because Ephraim hath made many altars to sin, altars shall be unto him to sin. Habakkuk 2:2. See, now Ephraim and Dan were accused of idols. And so when I see how our nativo brethren, being the dark ones or the Mongolian looking ones, set up all of these idolatrous temples and people and all that. Yeah, but they still had tassels. They still had fringes. They still, they still had so many different traits that showed me where so many of y'all originally came from. Ephraim. Okay. Habakkuk 2:2. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon the tables, that he may run that readeth it. Habakkuk 2:3. For the vision is yet for an appointed time. See, appointed time. Now, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. And though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Habakkuk 2:5. Yea, also, because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gather unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Habakkuk 2:6. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, that increaseth which is not his? Do you think they would write that? The people who have everything that is not their own, their language, their land, all of their religion, all that they claim? Habakkuk 2:8. Because thou hast spoiled many nations, all the remnant of the people shall spoil thee, because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Habakkuk 2:9. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Habakkuk 2:10. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. Habakkuk 2:11. For the stone shall cry out of the wall, and the beam out of the timber shall answer it. Habakkuk 2:12. Woe to him that buildeth a town with blood, and establisheth a city by iniquity. No way in the world would these people write something condemning themselves and their behavior. 78. We're going to look at Isaiah verse 3 to show you how consistent this is, talking about who the people are, and how overwhelming this is that there's no way that these people wrote it. Isaiah 3:17. We're going to start with 14. The Lord will enter into judgment with the ancients of his people and the princes thereof, for ye have eaten up the vineyard, the spoil of the poor is in your houses. What mean ye? 15. What mean ye that ye beat my people to pieces and grind the faces of the poor, saith Yahweh, the Elohim of hosts. Host meant armies. Okay? But let's go to 15. What mean ye? See, they love to mock our conversation and comedy and shows. What you mean? What you talking about, Willis? But then when we show you that we spoke the same way back then, what mean ye? Man, what you mean, homie? Okay, clear as day. 16. Moreover, Yahweh saith, because the daughters of Zion are haughty, prideful, and walk with stretched forth necks, and wanton eyes, walking and mincing as they go, and making a tinkling with their feet. 17, therefore Yahweh will smite with a scab the crown of the head, bald head, scallywag, the crown of the head of the daughters of Zion, and Yahweh will discover their sacred parts. Go turn on Housewives. Go turn on all the BT videos. Go turn on our women's sacred parts have been discovered. Go open up Facebook. Go open up Instagram, Twitter. Our women are freely showing their body parts, which at one time were hidden and sacred. 18. In that day, Yahweh will take away the bravery of their tinkling ornaments about their feet and their calls and their round tires like the moon. 19. The chains and the bracelets and the mufflers. 20. The bonnets and the ornaments of the legs and the headbands and the tablets and the earrings. 21. The rings and nose jewels. 22. The changeable suits of apparel and the mantles and the wimples and the crisping pins. 23. The glasses and the fine linen and the hoods and the veils. 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of sweet smell, there shall be stink. And instead of a girdle, a rent. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. And instead of a stomacher, a girdling of sackcloth. And burning instead of beauty. 25. Thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. 26. And her gates shall lament and mourn, and she, being desolate, shall sit upon the ground. These people ain't wrote this, man. That's ridiculous. And it's also quite clear who the whole book was written about and for. 79. A Christmas tree to celebrate the birth of Hamashiach. Interesting. Jeremiah 10:2. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen. Precept for it be not thou oppressor. And be not dismayed at the signs of heaven, for the heathen are dismayed by them. Jeremiah 10:3. For the customs of the people are vain. For one cutteth a tree out of the forest, the work of the hands of the workman with the axe. Jeremiah 10:4. They deck it with silver and with gold. They fashion it with nails and with hammers, that it move not. Jeremiah 10:5. They are upright as the palm tree, but speak not. They must needs be born, because they cannot go. Be not afraid of them, for they cannot do evil. Neither also is it in them to do good. Man, these people ain't wrote this, man. Okay, this Christmas tree, old Christmas tree? No. 80. Evolution. Though the first life was in the ocean, that was only fishes, birds, water dwellers, etc. Okay, but to say that all life came out of the ocean is patently false, according to the Bible. Genesis 1:20. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. Genesis 1:21. And God created great whales and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:22. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let the fowl multiply on earth. See how those precepts keep going? Be fruitful, be fruitful, be fruitful. Genesis 1:23. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Keep paying attention. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. Genesis 1:24. And God said, let the earth bring forth living creatures after its kind. The earth. Cattle and creeping things, and the beasts of the earth after its kind. And it was so. Genesis 1:25. And God made the beasts of the earth after its kind, and the cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after its kind. And God saw that it was good. Genesis 1:26. And God said, let us make man in our image. after our likeness. When they say God is a spirit, see, that's another one. Just in case I repeat it somewhere else, throw that in there. They say that God is a spirit. That's a common saying. But we were created in his likeness. We've already read Daniel 7:9 where he had hair like wool. And then Hamashiach, hair like wool. Your description of a spirit is off. But let's move around. Made after our own likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. We read this earlier about Adawam, appointed Lord over all creatures. Genesis 1:29. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, you people, against cannabis, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. Meat in the Old Testament meant vegetables. Flesh meant what we call meat. Okay, Genesis 1:30. And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the earth, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat, and it was so. Everyone. Stop that. And they made another deal, and I'm going to deal with that another time with you Hebrews that have erred in that assessment. Where I believe Shaul or one of them was talking to him and told him, and I'm tired of quibbling with you people about this what's to be eaten and unclean. If it has thorns and briars, it is to be thrown into the fire. Cannabis does not. Genesis 1:31. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the sixth day. So therefore, the creatures of the sea came out the fifth day. We came out the sixth. That dispels that evolution nonsense. If you believe in the Bible, it is false, and there's no way that the proponents of it, could have ever written this. 81. They knew we were not allowed graven images. So they just assumed, like they said, it gives no description. There's no description. Okay, well, let's go back. In the midst of the seven candlesticks, one like unto the Son of Man, clothed with a garment down to the foot, and a girt about the paps with a golden girdle. I already told you his hair was white like wool, and that his feet as if it cooked in a furnace. But what I didn't get into was that why would these people mass perpetuate Caesar or Cecilia Borgia in the image of him if they knew that the Bible clearly described him as a black man? Okay, 82. Okay, whites did not know the lions were from the jungle. We already seen this. As I mentioned before, Catholics and faithful believe women determine the bloodline. Okay. Only the infidels believe the mother of church. How could it be from the line? Okay. So, again, how could he be from the line of Yahuda? How could he be from the line of Dawood if his father was not from that line? If he was from the line of Dawood, but his genealogy is determined by his mother, that doesn't make sense. The genealogy of him should have been from Dawood's wife. See how that works? He cannot be of the line of Judah by the terms of flesh and blood, as it mentions in the New Testament. And it might have precept in the Old Testament first. If his father was not of the tribe of Yahudah. They don't know that, and therefore, again, they erred and could never have written this. Revelation 5:5. And one of the elders said unto me, weep not. Behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of Dawood, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the seven seals thereof. Can't be the root of Dawood if woman determines the genealogy. And again, they would not have written this verse. Another one that proves that they had no idea that this stuff was even said like this or what it meant. 83, politics. Why would they lock you in jail for tax evasion if they considered themselves Christians and of Elohim? A publican is one who collected taxes from his own people for the oppressor. Luke 20:22. Is it lawful for us to give tribute unto Caesar, or no? Luke 20:24. Hamashiach. Show me a penny, man. Let me see that. Whose image and subscription hath it? They answered and said, Caesar's. Matthew 22:17. Tell us therefore, what thinkest thou? Is it lawful to give tribute unto Caesar or not? And they said unto him, again, Caesar's. This is Matthew 22:21. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto Elohim the things which are Elohim's. These people would not be making everybody tax and pay tribute unto modern day Caesar if they had written in there that was not of God and has nothing to do with it. They consider that of God. They say one nation under God. Man, they didn't write this. 84, pharmaceuticals. So-called whites, by their own admission, are practitioners of witchcraft and sorcery in our pharmacies. Acts 8:9. But there was a certain man called Simon, which before time in the same city used sorcery and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one. Galatians 5:20. Idolatry, witchcraft, hatred, variance, emotions, wrath, strife, seditions, heresy. Now, those who have looked into these in the Hebrew know that the term pharmakeia applies to a couple of these. I believe it's witchcraft, perhaps something else. So, and this is another issue I have with the Hebrews when they try to use pharmakeia. Marijuana is not made in a pharmacy, therefore is not applicable to pharmakeia. That does not work. But in the terms of the people who have pharmacies everywhere, there is no way, and have replaced all of the natural herbal treatments with these pharmacy-made sorcery, which always hurts your body. Always hurts your body. It's going to make your stomach bleed from aspirin all the way down to all of the body causes. Y'all know it. You turn on the television. If you wait long enough, you're going to hear Sakalav, Makalav, and somebody else talking about, hey, if you or someone you know died from this product, please contact us. You could be eligible for compensation. You're never going to hear it for marijuana from the ground because it's natural. Pharmakeia does not apply. And these people did not write this. 85, tattoos. We never used to wear them. Now they got us selling our soul for fame and championships and shoe deals and all this stuff. So yeah, our people are being tricked into that. You know, unfortunately, by the grace of God, I don't have any tattoos. Something inside me kept me from it. But there are many other mistakes I made, just as human as anybody else. Okay, but for the sake of understanding, let's get to the bottom of this. Leviticus 19:28. Ye shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am Yahweh. We ain't supposed to wear no tattoos, man. Okay, it's not right. That's why we get diseases and stuff from that. Skin sicknesses and breakout and all that type of stuff, because we wasn't supposed to do that. We're not supposed to tell God that the skin he gave us wasn't good enough. So we're going to color it and make it better. 86. Egypt. The United States copies Egypt everywhere from slavery to immortality to symbolism. Many of us are at odds about the cross, but none of us awakened Hebrews accepted. We generally accept the Star of Dawood or a menorah. From what I understand, it is a subsidiary of the Ankh and therefore idolatry and perhaps a graven image. That's why I don't fool with the cross like that, man. You know, hey, may turn out take up your cross was right. I don't see enough precepts to support it, so I don't fool with it. Okay, but we got the cross. We got the obelisk in Washington, D.C. We got the Eye of Ra all over the place. Illuminati, satanic, Jewish agenda. Okay, there is no way that these people wrote this stuff that is condemned in the Bible repeatedly and then perpetuated on a daily basis. 87, spears. See, they love to say spear chucker. Spear chucker. Okay, cool. Spears are mentioned 18 times in the Bible. Let's look at some of them. Samuel 13:9. Now there were no smith found throughout all the land of Israel, for the Philistines said, lest the Hebrews make them swords and spears. 2 Kings 11:10. And to the captains over hundreds did the priests give King Dawood spears and shields that were in the temple of Yahweh. 2 Chronicles 11:12. And in every several city he put shields and spears and made them exceedingly strong, having Yehuda, Judah, and Benjamin on his side. 2 Chronicles 14:8. And Asa had an army of men that bare targets and spears, out of Judah 300,000, out of Benjamin that bare shears, that built shields and drew bows 284,000. All these were mighty men of valor. 2 Chronicles 23:9. Moreover, Jehoiada the priest delivered to the captains of hundreds spears and bucklers and shields that had been King Dawood's, which were in the house of Elohim. 2 Chronicles 26:14. And Uzziah prepared for them throughout all the hosts shields and spears and helmets and habergeons and bows and slings to cast stones. Nehemiah 4:13. Therefore said I in the lower places behind the wall, and on the higher places I even set the people after their families with their swords, their spears, and their bows. Nehemiah 4:16. And it came to pass from that time forth, that the half of my servants wrought in the work, and the other half of them held both the spears, the shields, and the bows, and the habergeons again. And the rulers were behind all the house of Yehuda, Judah. Nehemiah 4:21. So we labored in the work, and half of them held the spears from the rising of the morning till the stars appeared. Job 41:7. Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Okay, there's spears all over the place in the Bible. Again, these people would not have held spear chucker on the people of God just to come back and figure out, or write, that all of these people had spears. Okay. 88. Women in pants. Even England had women in dresses riding side saddle. Whether you agree with it or not, why would they write a book condemning it just to be the earliest nation to spearhead it? White women started wearing pants around 1940, and it was being perpetuated by the television and the same tool of Satan used to perpetuate homosexuality and racial mixture and all types of other evil. Deuteronomy 22:5. The women shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are an abomination unto Yahweh, Yah Elohim. They would not have wrote that. 89. Race. There are only tribes and nations in the Bible. There was no such thing as race. Everybody was dark. Initiating race was unbelievably diabolical. Hide the people of Yasharallah. Tell them they're all dark. You're all black. Separate the lighter and the darker. Let's see what the Bible has to say about that. Psalms 83:3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Yasharal be no more in remembrance. And it's not. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles, this is 83:6. The tabernacles of Edom, Edomites, the Ishmaelites, Moab, Chinese, the Hagarim, I have no idea, Gabal, Ammon, Japan, Amalek, I believe that's like Russia or something, the Philistines with inhabitants of Tyre. That's why it happened. They conspired against us. 90, the school system. Why would they design a school system that mixes boys and girls, serves unkosher food, and teaches us science diametrically opposed to the Bible? Right to left versus we went right to left when we wrote. They went left to right. If they take the same classes and they make them shorter, if they turn the class into 30 minutes each and extend the gym out to 2 hours, if they take out all of the milk and, the bad affected milk with basically steroids and hormones and stuff, take out the unkosher food, take out the pork and all that nonsense, and initiate a whole different school system, I guarantee you some of the same issues that they speak of that we suffer from will become their issues. 91. King Jacobus, a.k.a. King James. The 1611 Bible had no J's. Okay, so why would the 1611 Bible, and that is Jacobus right there. I don't know if you can read it, but that is Jacobus. That I is a Y sound, Jacobus. Because how could a King James write a Bible with no J's in it, but his name be King James? It is not. It is Jacobus. and he most likely was a Hebrew. 92. Swearing on the Bible in court. Matthew 5:34. But I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is God's throne, nor by the earth. 35. For it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. 36. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. 37. But let your communication be yea, yea, and nay, nay. For whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. James 5:12. But above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay, lest ye fall into condemnation. These people that make you swear on the Bible and constantly swear would not have written that and then made you do it on the Bible? How hypocritical and foolish is that? These people didn't write the book. It's that simple. They got nothing to do with or any understanding of anything it actually says. 93. Presenting Lucifer as a red demon with horns. Isaiah 14:12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? That's why y'all heard Jay-Z say, blame it on the son of the morning. He sold his soul. O Lucifer, son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? Isaiah 14:13. For thou hast said in thy heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. Isaiah 14:14. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Isaiah 14:15. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Ezekiel 28:2. Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord God, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am God, I sit in the seat of God in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man and not God, though thou set thine heart as the heart of God. Ezekiel 28:3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee. Ezekiel 28:9. Wilt thou yet say before him that slayeth thee, I am God? But thou shalt be a man and no God in the hand of him that slayeth thee. Ezekiel 28:10. Thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised, but by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken, it saith Yahweh. Ezekiel 28:12. Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, thus saith the Lord God, thou sittest up the sun, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. Thou hast been in Eden, in the garden of God. Every precious stone, was thy covering, the sardius, topaz, and diamond, the beryl, the onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle, and gold, the workmanship of thy tablets and of thy pipes was prepared in thee in the day that thou wast created. 14. Thou art the anointed cherub that covered, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. Ezekiel 28:17. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. He's no ugly animal, ugly creature with horns. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before kings, that they may behold thee. 94. Mother Nature. Leviticus 26:4. Then I will give you rain in due season, and the land shall yield her increase, and the trees of the field shall yield their fruit. 28:23. Job 28:23. God understandeth the way thereof, and he knoweth the place thereof. 24. For he looketh to the ends of the earth, and seeth the whole heaven flat. 25. To make the way for the winds, and he weigheth the waters by measure. 26. When he made a decree for the rain, and the way for the lightning of the thunder. 27. Then he said it, and declared it, and prepared it, yea, and searched it out. Job 37:9. Out of the south cometh the whirlwind, and the cold come out of the north. Job 37:10. By the breath of God frost is given, and the breath of the waters is straightened. Job 37:11. Also by watering he weareth the thick cloud, he scattereth his bright cloud. Job 37:12. And it is turned around about by his counsels, that they may do whatsoever he commandeth them upon the face of the world in the earth. Ain't no Mother Nature. Explorers. Lion is written 160 times in the King James Version Bible, by what I could find by the search engine. Listen, these people were out exploring because they weren't around. If they would have known that the lion was really not in the jungle and all these other creatures, then they'd have no need for zoos. They have no need for exploration. The people who are already here have no need for exploration. We have no desire. Okay? And God created, Genesis 1:21, and God created great whales and everything and creature that moveth within the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, every winged fowl after its kind, and God saw that it was good. We already knew about this and these creatures. We have no need to explore that. Debt. Why would a people write a book that condemns debt when we are perpetually in debt?
Your phone is dead.
Okay, people, let's wrap this up. I spoke about 95. Lion was actually 167 times I found, or at least what it showed up from the search. Okay, and then we already went over Genesis 1:21, but Genesis 1:21 is one of them that just, we could quote any verses in that regard of animals and stuff. We've already documented all of this. 96, debt. Again, why would they come up with so many passages condemning debt and not paying your debts? Even to come up with something, forgive us of our debts in the debtors. Even though we know before this Mandela nonsense that it said trespasses, let's just deal with debt for this matter. Okay. Ezekiel 18:1. The word of Yahweh came unto me again, saying, Ezekiel 18:2. What mean ye, again, what you mean, that ye use this proverb concerning the land of Yasharal, Israel, saying, the fathers have eaten sour grapes, and the children's teeth are set on edge. Ezekiel 18:3. As I live, saith Yahweh Elohim, ye shall not have occasion any more to use this proverb in Israel. Ezekiel 18:4. Behold, all souls are mine, as the soul of the Father. So also the soul of the Son is mine. The soul that sinneth, it shall die. Ezekiel 18:5. But if a man be just, and do that which is lawful and right, Ezekiel 18:6. And hath not eaten upon the mountains, neither hath lifted up his eyes to the idols of the house of Israel, neither hath defiled his neighbor's wife, neither hath come near to a menstruous woman, Ezekiel 18:7, and hath not oppressed any, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge, have spoiled none by violence, have given his bread to the hungry, and have covered the naked with a garment. You go back to Ezekiel 18:7. Hath not oppressed any, but hath restored to the debtor his pledge. Okay, just think about that. These people writing that. Ezekiel 18:8. He that hath not given forth upon usury, neither hath taken any increase, that hath withdrawn his hand from iniquity, have executed true judgment between man and man. Ezekiel 18:9. Hath walked in my statutes and hath kept my judgments to deal truly. He is just, he shall surely live, saith Yahweh Elohim. Man, these people ain't wrote this stuff, man. These people got the worst debt, growing this debt, ain't paying the debt, ain't gonna pay the debt, ain't paid no reparations, ain't just in the least. 97, day and night. There are obviously many references to this, but I'm going to cherry pick off of this one since I used it earlier. Again, they would not write something completely opposite to what they teach. Genesis 1:31. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was good, and the evening and the morning were the sixth day. Their day starts in the morning. The biblical day starts in the evening. If you would notice by now, everything perpetuated in America is the opposite of what the Bible teaches. They are exactly the opposite. 98. Pharaoh's grandson, Moshe. Though some of y'all might try to sidestep the truth, I have to make it known that he could have passed for Pharaoh. He could not have passed for Pharaoh's grandson either. Hebrews 11:24. By faith, Moshe, when he was come to years, refused to be called the son of Pharaoh's daughter. Hebrews 11:25, choosing rather to suffer affliction with the people of Elohim than to enjoy the pleasures of sin for a season. 99, outer space. Go back to Genesis 1:6. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. In Genesis 1:7, we're repeating this. It's a different point. And God made the firmament and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and so it is so. And God called up in Genesis 1:8, and God called the firmament heaven. In the evening, in the morning, there you go again. And the evening, in the morning were the second day. They ain't flying to no space. They ain't landing on no moon. Like I said, go back to what I mentioned earlier in Operation Fishbowl, and you will see that they cannot get past it. There's no, what do they call it, a supercharged chemical. It's a firmament. They cannot get through it. And so therefore there is no space travel. While they're at it, tell them to explain to you how a giant ball of flame is functioning in a vacuum. Or how in the world they used thrusters, combustible thrusters, in order to get through space, land on the moon, and then somehow use the same thrusters again, but yet they needed something to breathe with. Okay, space is no. 100. Okay, the infidel weren't around when Ethiopia was great. They definitely wouldn't have compared the stringy-haired imposters to Cushites. Okay, Amos 9:7. Are ye not as the children of the Ethiopians unto me, O children of Yasharallah? Saith Yahweh, have not I brought up Yasharallah out of the land of Egypt, and the Philistines from Thor, and the Syrians from Ker? Jeremiah 13:23. Can the Ethiopian change his skin, or the leopard his spots? Then may ye also do good, that ye are accustomed to do evil. 2 Chronicles 21:16. Moreover, the Lord stirred up Joram, the spirit of the Philistines and the Arabians, that they were near the Ethiopians. See, all these people ain't near Ethiopians looking like this, and they straight white. Don't you think somebody would have made mention of this in history? Hey, man, these people that look nothing like anybody else around here are Jews. No. The true Jews did not stand out like that. Isaiah 23. And Yahweh said, like as my servant Isaiah hath walked naked and barefoot 3 years for a sign and a wonder upon Egypt and Ethiopia. Hamites, neither one of them are Hebrews. Isaiah 24. So shall the king of Assyria lead away the Egyptians prisoner and the Ethiopians captive, young and old, naked and barefoot, even with their buttocks uncovered, to the shame of Egypt. Okay, so that's why there's Arabians in them over there now. And even though Ishmael his mother was an Egyptian, so obviously he was black. But I don't know who those people are over there now. They don't look nothing like the people on the pyramids. Those people are gone, just like the Bible said it was going to happen. It's why Ethiopia was like a place known for starving and desolation, because again, the Most High said it was going to happen to them. Isaiah 25. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of Egypt, their glory. Isaiah 26. And the inhabitant of this isle shall say in that day, behold, such is our expectation, whether we flee for help to be delivered from the king of Assyria, and how shall we escape? There you have it, people. To recount 100. But we're just simply showing that they would not have the people and be rubbing elbows and mingling with people that are so much different than themselves. Okay, it doesn't make sense. They would not make mention of what they have clearly shown what the Ethiopians look like, and what we have later found out what the Egyptians look like, and to be spoken of in the same manner as these people are made example of. They weren't around. Okay, so the notion of the white man writing the Bible has been thoroughly debunked and put to rest. All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahusha, Hamashiach, Bahashem, Ra'uk, HaKadesh, Selah.